So, Jessica Lee Morgan, thank you very much for talking to us today on Keep Cardiff Live. You've got the best looking background of anyone who's been on so far. Very, very flash. But I understand you're getting ready to do some recording and playing, is that right?
Yeah, we're getting ready for our Tuesday evening show, which has become a regular since the Time Zone tour, which we did in May and June. We went on tour around the world, and then since then we've been doing regular shows on YouTube. And yeah, invested in a backdrop because my house is usually a mess, so this
Oh, that's great.
better.
You look like you're in a theatre somewhere, you know.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, it was interesting watching people develop their lockdown shows and everything, and
Yeah.
people's kitchens and all this. But we really wanted to be, as real as close to the real thing as possible because we miss it.
What room in the house is that? Because the acoustics are really good.
Oh well, it is our studio. It's our control room, so it's
okay.
All full of gear and try and keep the noise down.
Do you go out at a sort of designated time every week?
Yes, 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. It's and I bought the URL points to it, jlmsings.com.
Cool.
YouTube/jlmsings. Yeah.
Well,
so we built up a nice little club, which is really nice.
Do people, do you? How does it work with that? I mean, I don't know. Is it a paid event, or does a live stream just go out, or how to work?
It's just a live stream, really. I thought YouTube was the most accessible because it's the mum-proof test. Our mums aren't on Facebook much, so we thought if our mums can watch it on YouTube, it's easiest, and they do.
Yeah.
And we did look at some paid options, but it's a lot of pressure then to deliver, and you have to have rock solid internet, which we don't. And so yeah, we thought that we'd just come along, and then the onus is off us. We can just have fun, and then people can tip us as well on our tip jar.
Oh, I like that. We should have one of those, Tim.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, you should. It's
put
amazing.
One on the side of the screen.
Yeah, you should. We try not to make it too much, otherwise it looks like QVC.
Yeah. But however, I mean, all joking aside, I mean, it's such a desperately difficult time, isn't it, for musicians? And whatever people can contribute to support live music is sort of really important now, Jess, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, even if you don't make a lot of money through live music, I mean, we can't pretend that we're rolling in it after gigs and everything, but it does help, and it keeps the wheels turning. And when everything got taken away, just overnight, it wasn't so much the money, but it was just the regular routine of going out and doing shows, and you meet people and you talk to them and you sell CDs, and it does keep the wheels. So a lot of people do tip us, or they buy our albums, which is really great, and it is nice. And you think, wow, they gave us money for nothing, but then you realize you've just given them an hour's show, which is as much effort as going to a venue. The only thing that's different is the travel. You don't have to get in the car and go.
Yeah, it's still all the setting up and getting the sound right and everything else, isn't it? And you're performing with Christian, I guess, tonight.
Yes. Sorry, we only started as a duo in about 2015.
Right.
Supported Holy Holy. I'll tell you about Holy Holy in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been together for many, many years. We met in Cardiff. But he joined me on stage, which was really nice because he supplies that bottom end. Bass players are like glue, aren't they? So they, it supplies this nice glue to the sound and some variation, which is really nice. And also, we trade stupid jokes and banter and stuff, which is
always good. That's what me and Tony spend most of our time doing. Funny enough, bass players generally get a really bad press, don't they? They're always the butt of the jokes, the bass player, for some reason. So it's nice to hear you being complimentary about your bass player.
Well, I have to. It's in the next room. But
yeah.
But no, I mean, a lot of the most important people in my life are bass players. My dad and my brother, and then some very close family friends. Danny Thompson, although he says that this is a guitar player and not a real bass player, because of course Danny plays upright bass. I think they are, and they're often very supportive people as well. There's a couple of ex-business partners who bang post-production. They're both bass players as well, and very facilitated people. I think Di Shell used to work with these guys.
Yes.
Yeah. So Paul and Doug are bass players as well, and it does.
Paul McFadden, is it? Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. And Doug Sinclair. Chris is shouting at me.
That's right.
Yeah. So bass players are a very good sort indeed, aren't they, Chris?
I mean, it's just funny that just our exchange there. Just everyone knows everyone in Wales,
Oh yes, yeah, and music in general as well. People,
it's community, isn't it?
Yeah, and you see on Facebook or so and so knows so and so, and you think, oh my God, I can't believe it. Yeah, but it's nice, and we have seemed to stay together even amongst all this. You know, we've still managed to find ways of joining up, which is lovely.
So I mean, looking at your history, and I want to come on to songwriting with you in a bit, because you make quite sort of overt signals within some of your lyrics about your perspective on stuff, yeah. But of course, we can't ignore the fact, which you kind of alluded to a little bit with Holy Holy, with Tony Visconti, of course, as a dad, and Mary Hopkin as a mother, so you had kind of legendary parents, which is
so they say.
And I know that's not what, it's kind of part of what you're about, but clearly as a musician, you're about kind of yourself, yeah. But yeah. What was it like, kind of, growing up with Tony Visconti and Mary Hopkin as kind of parents? You must have born into music. Bang, there you are. You're in the world of music.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very natural environment for me to be in, because ever since I was born, they were poking a microphone in my face, and my most keen photographers as well. My dad is, there's endless pictures and bits of music. We were, I think, professionally recorded. I was 4, my brother would have been 7. On Hazel O'Connor was my first session, and then and I was a mini pop age 10, and so very, very supportive. Neither parent really encouraged either of us into the music business. So, they wanted me to get a useful job, something useful to them, no doubt. But so I did have a 9-to-5 for many years in Cardiff, in the health and social care sector. Okay. And but then the music just keeps tugging away at you, and you can't really escape it. So it just seems to soak in everywhere. But then when you do as a child of musician parents, when you do some, you can't get away with anything. They never humor me, and they never patronize me. They always pick me up when they think I could be better. They go, that was great, but try doing this, or you shouldn't do that, so and God forbid if you do a session for them, that's even worse. So very, very high standards in my family, which is good, because I would never want to for a long time I was like, I don't want to be successful because of them. And in the end, I just gave in and started talking about it again. But I would never want to be famous just because, or I'd never want to be a musician just because they are. I'd want to be as good as they are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd be, to be absolutely clear about that. You are Jessica Lee Morgan. You're Jessica Lee Morgan, and you're Jessica Lee Morgan, musician, songwriter, performer. You just happen to have those unusual kind of really famous musicians as parents. As I say, it comes through in your songwriting as well. Maybe we'll get onto that in a bit. But because you're in 3 or 4 different acts, is that right? Yeah. Tell me about
it's a bit of a juggle. Well, so the main one is me and Chris. So we go out under my name. Then there's Holy Holy, which is great. I joined them in 2015 as one of the backing singers with Lisa Ronson, who's Mick's daughter, and Hannah Berridge Ronson, who is Mick's niece. We were the three dolly birds at the back. And then I worked my way up to the front. Terry Edwards, who was on saxophone and guitar, he had to leave and go off and tour with PJ Harvey. So he entrusted me with his position. So now I'm up front, standing between Glenn Gregory and Paul Cuddiford, and playing the 12-string and saxophone and maracas, and it's like a juggling act. So that's good fun. And we're actually going back on tour in April. It's finally being announced, and there is a Cardiff date at the Trafford.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite early on in the tour. That must be one of the first dates, is it? The Cardiff gig?
I can't remember. That was one of the things I thought I should check before.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it's the 10th of April. I think.
Yeah.
It's in a tram shed, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we played there last time. So it'd be great to see my friend. I always feel like a bit of a prima donna seeing all my friends just for a gig, because I've got about 30 seconds. So that's good. But we're also there before that with another show, which is Fire Rain and American Pie, which was the brainchild of a chap called Paul Premnadama, who's a singer-songwriter. And he absolutely loves that era of early 70s American songwriting. So Carole King, Carly Simon, James Taylor, Simon and Garfunkel, all that stuff, Joni Mitchell, and happens to be all my legends as well. So we put together a show which we debuted, how do you say that? Premiered in January this year. And then, of course, everything got cancelled, but the Cardiff date's in February, and we're getting the ball rolling again. That's a lovely show. Chris is in it. There's a guy, Vikas, playing piano, Al on percussion. It's really lovely. It should be a really lovely, warm show. I think that's it. Oh yeah, there's also, I sing Sandy Denny part with a band called Coda Led Zeppelin, who are brilliant.
Wow. What kind? So yeah, that's interesting. So what's their kind of take on it? What kind, what's their angle? What do they do? They're pretty straightforward replica band, but they're really good. They are really good. They've just got a new guitarist. Unfortunately, didn't have a chance to break him in yet. But they're all amazing. The singer is just incredible. He's a really funny Irish guy, so lots of jolly banter, but his voice is spot on. They're very talented, and it's so exciting to watch them. And crowd go bananas. And then they wheel me on for Battle of Evermore, which is just amazing. They just found me out of the blue. It was such a buzz. They said, "Would you like to come and be Sandy?" Of course. We've supported them a few times as well. Oh, okay. Nice. So they heard your voice, and what a compliment that is. Would you like to be our Sandy Denny? Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. So we got a whole load of dates with them as well, which is really nice. Yeah.
We interviewed Linda Thompson on the show a while back, and she was absolutely fantastic, of course. And and she was talking about Sandy Denny and just saying what a stunning voice that is.
Oh, I know, what beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of just beautiful musicians out there who just went far too early.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kind of, I don't know, it was a bit of an awkward way to say this, but are you kind of just used to be surrounded by like first class musicians? The people you play with, they're all sort of top notch. Is that just the way it is?
Well, I guess so, yeah. If you take it for granted. I mean, Holy Holy's amazing. When I started on the Terry Edwards part, as it were, I was utterly terrified. I think that was the first time in recent years I've been completely outside my comfort zone. I hadn't really picked up a saxophone since I was at school. So yeah, that was amazing. And it was very, very supportive, which was really nice. But to be able to play amongst those guys, I mean, Woody on drums and Paul and James are legends themselves. Glenn's an amazing singer, and Tony on bass, of course. So yeah, that's really, when I stand up there and think, right, for the first, occasionally you think, what the heck am I doing here? It's like imposter syndrome. But I mean, I got to play with Ralph McTell last Christmas as well, as my mother and I were on his album, and my dad produced it. So we sang on the album, and I got up and sang a song that my mum had recorded with Ralph. So at Festival Hall, and that was blimey. Didn't get to play with Danny. He was in the show, but Danny Thompson came up for another number. But Jerry Conway was on drums, and Ralph was there, and Dave Pegg on bass, and my goodness, that was amazing. So it does set the bar high. It does make me have high standards as well. We've done a lot of work with beginner musicians, community music, that sort of thing, especially in Cardiff, special needs, lots of kids parties, lots of what do we do, special songs, people recording for their first dance. And I do love that, the developmental aspect and the buzz that somebody else gets when they hear themselves on record for the first time. So I do love encouraging people, but with the risk of sounding a bit snobbish, if you decide then you want to get on a stage somewhere like the Festival Hall, or even a really good nightclub or wherever, you have to really be aware of your abilities, and if you're up to the mark, you can't take it for granted. You have to practice, and you have to
my guitars are parked up behind me for that reason, but Tony,
beautiful. Do you play them a lot?
Whenever I can. We both love playing. Tony's wants to talk to you a little bit, I think, about Holy Holy, because the pictures in the background, I think, are from gigs, Tony.
I saw it change.
I snuck that one in there, but it was Yeah, I think that's you on stage. I think playing guitar.
It is.
That was 2017, and that was Shepherd's Bush Empire. Yeah, so that was when I managed to get to come along and see.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah,
oh, your photo, fantastic.
Yeah, it's just one of my photos. I've got a couple of other ones, but I'll just put them up as we're talking.
Awesome.
But what I was kind of interested in from that perspective was, first of all, what was it like, sort of playing the Bowie stuff? I mean, that must have been a little bit surreal, and particularly with your father producing Bowie and being friends with him as well, and having these musicians, and that you've already sort of touched on the fact there was. A little bit sort of daunting for you in the beginning, but it must have been a great experience, particularly playing those sort of theatres and playing those sort of songs. How did you feel about it?
Oh, it's the best fun ever. It really is. I mean, playing our own gigs is wonderful, but we're there. You've got the volume for one thing. I mean, I always wear earplugs with those guys. Woody is the loudest drummer. I mean, he's ridiculously loud. And my dad wears supersonic earplugs, sponsored by Flair earplugs. And as you can see, he's got a massive 8x10 stack there, and it's always pretty high. I think he's the loudest thing on stage. He was surprised when I told him, but nobody else would dare tell him. So there's volume for one thing.
He still likes to keep it authentic then, really, playing with amplifiers instead of just having monitors and things. You want old school, really, with a big stack behind you, yeah.
He hasn't been a regular live musician for years. I mean, he's done and of course he started that way, but he really looks forward to gigging. He doesn't look forward to the travel and all the schlepping around, but he loves being on stage because he just didn't get to do it much. He's always behind the studio desk. So he loves his amp, and he has a Malcolm Toft pedal. His old friend Malcolm Toft came along with a new pedal for him to try out, and he uses that. And yeah, it's good fun. It's really good fun being up there with him.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's good. Yeah, because you play guitar and you also do some backing vocals and saxophones. You're doing lots of different things there. So it's probably a lot to remember and get involved with as well.
And the chords are just ridiculous. I mean, thanks to David Bowie, the chords are ridiculous. And but I figure them all out eventually, and I bluff a few, I'm sure. But it's a very intensive set.
It's kind of that thing where you download the chords and you think, yeah, that's an easy song, but they're not the right chords. They're not actually what.
And then it modulates. Then it goes off to Mars somewhere and then comes back. And then is it two choruses and one verse, or is it one chorus and two, and then quite often we don't always get through in one piece. But yeah,
it sounds fantastic. Good. Brilliant.
Absolutely. So Tony's a massive Bowie fan, actually. And
I can tell by his bookshelf.
Yeah. And I don't know whether you got it in the room with you now, Tom.
Bit of a giveaway, yeah.
It's everywhere around this place. You see, it's about Bowie. Bowie, fascinating character. Did you meet him, Jess? Have you met him, David Bowie?
I did when I was a teeny tiny. I was 6 weeks. I keep forgetting. It's 6 weeks old. I think we were in Chateau d'Hérouville. It must have been weeks because it was the summer. And when my mum was there recording her bit for Sound and Vision, and so I was a baby, and apparently David didn't think I was very interesting. And I would completely agree, because I don't like babies either. But I did meet him when in 2012, Chris and I went over for an extended stay, and my dad happened to be finishing the next day at the time, and swore everybody to secrecy, because my dad has a room in my brother's studio, just tiny studio, and so David was popping in, and I was bringing the coffee and saying hi, but it took me 3 days to stop shaking, like, oh my God, it's David Bowie, here's your coffee. And he was always very charming, and I was doing gigs at the time, and so he was, oh, your dad said you're doing gigs, how are they going, and all this. So that was really nice. I can't say we became closer or anything, but it was certainly nice to see him again as a grown-up.
Yeah, I mean, he's it's obviously very sad, that he's more than very sad that he's no longer with us. But he even had a stylish departure, didn't he? Mark of the Man.
It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, my dad knew, obviously, that it was still unexpected. And I remember we were on tour the previous summer. I think I was driving the van at the time with the band there, my dad next to me, and he gets a FaceTime call, and he's chatting away, and he's going, yeah, nobody knows, I shouldn't be saying this really, nobody knows who I'm talking to, and of course everybody's in the back earwigging. But yeah, so they were I don't know what they were working on at the time, but and then we were all on tour, and we had a cancelled date, and then we went up to Toronto early. And early that morning, that's when the news started trickling through. I think in the middle of the night, my dad was up, and and then we had a day of deliberation. I remember Chris and I went up the CN Tower, which I thought was very felt symbolic in some way, looking over Toronto. And then we had a day of deliberation, like, should we carry on? Should we scrap it? And I said we should carry on. And eventually, thankfully, Woody and Tony said that's the best way to carry on. My dad was, I think, in shock for a while, but and then we thought, oh, we'll put a brave face on it. We'll try and keep it together. And then just seeing these people in the front row, like 6 feet away, bawling their eyes out. And then of course we started bawling our eyes out. And then it was just, but it was perfect. And it was almost as if, because he knew about us and he really enjoyed, he approved of us and liked us. And then we'd just been at the Highline Ballroom on his birthday, and my dad phoned him and left a voicemail, and the whole crowd sang happy birthday to him. And so yeah, he had that. I hope he heard it. And then that was it. Gone. So it felt like he'd blessed us. And then me for one, I don't know, I felt like a missionary going around and spreading Church of Man Love, such a holy place to be.
So the holy holy thing. I mean, it's obviously it's kind of the ultimate sort of nod towards him, isn't it?
Yeah. We were lucky enough to go back. There'd been a big celebration planned in Carnegie Hall. It was going to be a big charity thing, and then they asked Tony to do it, and then Tony said, well, I have a house band, i.e. us, which is great. So we were already booked for that. And then because there was this big wave of celestial endorsement, we got another 6-week tour out of it. So back we went to America and did Carnegie Hall, and then Radio City, with all sorts of people, Debbie Harry and God, everybody. Robin Hitchcock, who we've been on tour with Chris 3 times since then. I took advantage of that one. And God, what a awfully big adventure that was, basically. And Chris and I got to support throughout as well. We've been supporting most of the tours since then. Fantastic. Lovely.
I don't know whether there's an answer to this, but I don't know whether you've ever had this conversation with your dad. But is there a particular song that he plays that kind of most kind of emotionally reconnects him with David Bowie?
Oh,
the set.
We have to think about. Oh, in the set.
Yeah.
We started to do. Where Are We Now? Which actually was a suggestion from James. The guitarist, and when he said that, oh, how about that for an encore, I thought, what? That's a weird choice, James. Why? And now we do it, and then everyone slowly went, yeah, good. And they went, now we do it. It's really quite powerful.
Yeah, because I mean, the last sort of couple of albums, really, there's a hell of a lot of signing going on, isn't there? The bad things are on the way. Yeah.
I mean, the next day he was perfectly fit and healthy, because we were there and we saw him, and everyone thought he was not very well, and that single came out, didn't it? And everyone thought, oh my God, he looks really downcast and fragile and everything. And then he came back with the next one, like, kapow, I fooled you. That. Yeah, we always kept expecting him to pop out of a bit like when Freddie Mercury died. I think he's going to come back and go, joke. But but so nice. Say that. No, my dad produced those things, and I have to remind myself that I'm playing. Like, for instance, when we played the Man Who Sold the World album, I have to remind myself that guy actually played on the original, and that guy played on the original, and it's hard to remember sometimes.
It's fantastic, though, isn't it? It's just purely fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, you collaborate quite closely with your mum, Mary, who's kind of stepped back from performance and I suppose any form of interaction with the music industry right now.
Yeah, yes. I have to insist to people that she's still alive and kicking, and well, and we just released a new album. I should show you, actually.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Released a new album, brand new. Do you know what? I don't pick one up. That's shocking.
Well, we can put an image on the site.
Yeah, screenshot.
If you send us a link.
Got a few. I mean, we've done things like this. We recorded Those Were the Days. 50 years.
Wow, was it 50 years?
50 years. Well, 2 years ago it was 50 years.
Whoa, Crazy.
And then, God, why did I pick one of those up? And then we're doing things like this, which is the archives, which is this is Valentine, and this is all stuff that Mum and Dad recorded together years and years ago, and it never got put out for one reason or another. So I just said, well, I'll do it. And we're on our 12th release now with Another Road, and it's a brand new album. Some of the songs were written a few years ago, but it's all brand new recordings, and she loves being in the studio. She does it. We said, if you're going to be this damn picky, you have to learn how to use Pro Tools or Logic or whatever. And so she's learning. We're off Pro Tools and onto Logic now, and so she's like, so frustrating, but she's getting it. She's recording her vocals and,
blimey,
piano parts.
I gave up on Pro Tools. I thought Pro Tools, I use Reaper and stuff like that. Pro Tools is pretty complex. If you haven't used DAWs before,
Yeah, but she got it. She got the parts she needed anyway, and now we've gone off Pro Tools a bit. We've caused us one or two problems in the past, but now we're all on Logic, and her computer was dying, so we had to buy her a new one and said, we'll get you on Logic. And she's loving it.
So,
and somebody just commented, they said, oh, love the album, but it's got no pictures of Mary on it. And I don't know if it, she certainly looks great and sounds great and everything, she's healthy, but she just doesn't feel like being that person anymore. She just wants to be the musician, so she doesn't want to do interviews or put makeup on and have photos taken and things like that. She just can't be bothered. So that's what it is. Here's my music, like it or lump it, she goes.
Well, she's done everything, so she can rest easy on that score, can't she?
Yeah, my dad told me she was in the Guinness Book of Records, apparently, the most photographed woman in.
Wow, really?
69 or something. So she's had her real guts full. So, and we don't do autographs either, because A, it's hard logistically, and B, just don't believe in it anymore. So my dad, sometimes my dad comes out and signs things, and he'll be there with people, stacks of vinyl and stuff after the gigs. So you just have to kind of put a lid on it, and a lot of it ends up on eBay. But
yes, but I'm sure it's moving. I'm sure people are still, people really want that stuff. I'm sure. You still co-write with her, do you?
Yeah. There's one on my new album. I've got one. Oh, look, I've got 2 copies of my album and not one of hers. That's my new album. We wrote.
What's the title of the album?
It's called Forthright.
Okay.
Because I'm Forthright, and it's my 4th album. And
good one.
I'm a genius. It's called Less Said the Better, and I wrote some lyrics, and she took a pile of my lyrics away and wrote this really lovely melody and chords to it. So it's a very Mary Hopkin melody, goes up quite high. And we wrote one on my first album. It's my first album. I Am Not, who wrote Here All Comes Again. But yeah, she's an amazing writer, and I'm very, very proud of her. So this is all her own writing now. So, she didn't get the chance to do it back in the day because it just wasn't done really.
Does she play 12-string guitar as well?
She had a 12-string.
Right.
I have it now. It's right behind me. And no, I don't think she persevered with it. She had a very delicate guitar built by Tony Visconti, who's a legend, and it's the guitar I learnt on. And it's when I said, I'll take it for the school concert we're doing, School Eisteddfod. She said, oh no, I think I might buy you your own guitar, which I've also still got. So she phoned up Joe Brown and got me a little guitar for my tiny hands. So yeah, she's a very delicate finger picker guitar.
Okay.
Whereas I just beat the hell out of mine, so I've got nice scrape marks.
I struggle with 12 strings. I find them just such a nightmare to tune, because I've got big chunky fingers, just.
Oh yeah, tuning. That's the joke, isn't it? How long does it take to tune a 12 string? Nobody knows.
Yeah, it's the same with a mandolin, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. We're spoilt in Holy Holy. Of course, it's the only gig I do where we have guitar techs. So
thank God for that.
Check the tuning before all the scary ones like Space Oddity. They check it's in tune. I don't think I'd risk it on my own. Is the whole gig tuning? Tony
knows my history with that.
Yeah, I'm his roadie.
Oh, very patient of you.
He's a way better guitarist than I'll ever be. But I was watching your performance of Those Were the Days in Belgium.
Oh, is there one in Belgium?
Yeah,
there's one in Pontedour as well.
Oh yeah, of course, which is closer to where you grew up, I guess, is it?
No, I grew up in Reading, actually.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I'm a Reading born and bred. We spent a lot of time holidays and stuff in Pontedour, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your mum's from the Swansea area originally, is that right?
She's from Pontedour.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Born in Ystradgunlais and grew up in Pontedour.
Okay, there's a good chip shop in Pontedour. Actually, Tony might not be surprised that I would know this.
The Cross one, yeah, up on the Cross.
But watching that performance, firstly, the crowd, they seemed, quite kind of, I'm not going to put it that way. They didn't seem the most kind of as responsive as you'd like them to be, and I don't know. I mean, I wondered, but the compere's speaking in French, isn't he? But I wondered if maybe they were Flemish or something, and I didn't quite get it. I don't know.
Oh no, I think all that was that they had recorded the sound through the board, so there wasn't a crowd mic. So they were were clapping. I mean, it was a big cavernous venue, like a big warehouse, and they got me and Chris up, which was lovely. It was a really nice show. But we had grown men crying. I think it was for good reason. But when we played things like Sparrow by Gallagher and Lyle, and they were just crying. It was lovely. It was really sweet. Because we had a little stall, the other side of the partition, and there was a nice lady minded the stall while we were on stage. And then as I was packing up after our slot, she said, you better come over. There's too many people. We can't handle them.
Wow.
Run over there to buy everything, which was really sweet.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was really lovely. It was a whole Beatles convention. And then I did a talk about, I said, well, I'd really like to talk about Mary and explain a few things as well. So I did it in kind of Fringlish.
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed you. Your French is pretty impressive, I thought.
It's not bad for A-level French, yeah.
Good.
No, but they're lovely, very supportive out there.
Yeah. And of course, I noticed one of the things you were saying was talking about your merchandise store, wasn't it? In kind of French to promote that.
Yeah.
It's funny because obviously you partially sing that in French, and like you say, I think Mary recorded it in 5 different languages.
Yeah.
It's there's something about that song. I was going to say about the chords, some quite sophisticated chords going on there as well, actually, in the song. It's a beautifully written song.
Yeah.
Why was it so successful? What do you think when you're playing, and what do you sort of admire about that song? Why does it work so well? It's massive,
Well, the first thing to say is that for years we all thought, Lithuanian folk tune. It's written by a guy called Boris Fomin, and the credit was suppressed for some reason. I think he was a bit of I don't know, political outcast or something. I can't quite remember the details, but so Gene Raskin just took the entire copyright for all those years. And bought himself a yacht or something. And so it's a great song. Gene obviously wrote the words, and then Paul found it and then sat on it for a while looking for the right person. So when Mary came along, she was quite young to sing it, because it's about looking back, isn't it? I mean, I used to go drinking in the tavern in Cardiff Uni. So when I sing it, I think of days looking through the glass and seeing how everything's changed. When she sang it, she was this fresh, young, beautiful, she hates this image, but, virginal, sweet, innocent, pure. She wasn't going, down the whole, acid summer of love 60s and anything.
Yeah.
It really stood out. And then, she's not, I wouldn't say political, she's not really interested in politics and all the negativity. But at the time, of course, you had all that going on with wars and protests and God knows what. And so probably it stood out as some kind of bit of serenity, that really, and it was so long and you could immerse yourself, and it's got a great sing-along chorus. And so she's very proud to have sung it. And I do enjoy singing it myself. So it's weird. I mean, it's just obviously there's talent, and it was a good process, but I'd say fluke as well. Just caught the right time, right moment, right person. And bang, there you go.
Kind of an archetypal song of the period, really. It's got a lovely kind of Welshness kind of to it as well, somehow or other. And Tony and I were talking. That's true.
It's that Jewish Welsh.
Yeah, kind of a lilt, isn't it?
Sorry.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
We were saying, unfortunately,
all Welsh.
Yeah, all Welsh songs should have that. Yes, that's also it was kind of taken on as a football chant as well, which wasn't sung quite so nicely. we're both Cardiff City fans. I mean, you know, we that tune, you know, we've heard it on the terraces.
Oh, it gets sung, does it? Yeah,
yeah.
Set of lyrics.
A slightly different version, yeah.
Yeah.
but
no.
Which is nice, though. Really, you know, I think it's great. You know, it's great. It's a sign of a great song, really. That can become a football chant in a weird kind of way.
Oh,
but I was intrigued by the Evening Without Mary. You know.
Oh, yeah. Very Hopkin.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that. I was just, you know, because you play with some great people.
Oh, yeah, I so love to keep it going. Well, I was inspired, emboldened, I guess, by doing the Holy Holy thing. And we spoke to the guy who started that, and he said, yeah, go for it. It's all about and someone told me recently, the heritage acts are the ones that are selling. And I thought, well, if Mary's not going to go out and perform anymore, which is a bit hampering if you're running a record label, you know, your artist won't go on tour. But that was the deal. So I thought, well, I'll do it. And so I did. And we picked songs that she wrote and focused on songs that she liked. And so we didn't do things like Knock Knock, which she hated. And then I got Brian Willoughby, who had his first professional gig with my mum and dad. And his wife Cathryn Craig, who's a wonderful singer-songwriter. They performed together. Chris was on bass, and our friend Simon Adams on percussion. And we did 3 nights. We did London, Cardiff, and I forgot. And where? Pontedower.
Well done.
The other room. Pontedower, of course.
Yeah. Nice stage whisper.
Yes. Mary did come along. My family came along. My gran sadly had just passed away.
Right.
My gran was in hospital giving away tickets to all the staff, and my mum had to remind that, you know, I was funding the show. So my gran would have bankrupted me. She was such a charmer. So yeah, it was wonderful. And it was all self-promoted. So I mean, I would love to do it again, but you realise you need kind of backers and promoters and pluggers and that kind of thing for this. But it was lovely. So we the songs ourselves as well. We've done a few MH shows in our YouTube slot. We did 3 nights in Osaka to commemorate her Japan Expo 70 trip. That was lovely. Benny Gallagher got really excited about that as well. He's made a very good friend. He and Graham Lyle went out to support her along with Paco Pena, and my whole family went. And we had she's got a very good stronghold in Japan of fans, so that was a real treat to do.
But bringing it back to home, what I was most interested in there from our point of view was, of course, the gig in Cardiff and some of the kind of the Welsh musicians, you know, who were involved. James Dean Bradfield from the Manics, Amy Wadge, of course, Shakin Stevens.
That's a different show, right? Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's Wales at #1. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Tell me, can we talk about that one as well? Then the really kind of Welshy one.
The very Welsh one. Well, that was Lucy Morgan, who runs Welsh Pops Orchestra, who I've worked with since. Actually, my dad hired her for a Daphne Guinness show, Small World, and she put together a show. Of course, the usual deal is that they go, does Mary want to do a show? And I go, no, she doesn't. So she asked me several different ways, and the answer was usually no. Well, it was always no. So eventually she gave in and said, all right, you can sing it. Oh, thanks very much. So when I showed up at rehearsal, I sang it, and they all looked really surprised. They went, oh, this sounds awful now, I'm going to blow my own horn, but they went, oh my God, you're really good. I'm like, I've been singing professionally for years. So I don't know what they thought they were getting, like some little girl doing an impression of her mum. But so I sang that. It was fabulous, and so many great people, and everyone came up and did their #1 hits, including Richie Valence, bless him. He came up and did Tell Laura I Love Her. James Dean Bradfield, Amy Wadge, like you say, Balsamo, Dayton and Balsamo and Dayton. Oh yeah. Shake You was there. Lots of great people, and this wonderful orchestra, and that was a big crowd too. That was rather wonderful. Yeah, it's a lot of effort just to get up and sing one song, but it was definitely worth it.
What did Shaky do? This Old House or something, was it?
Was that #1 or was it Green Door? Probably the
Green Door, yeah, maybe Green
Door. Yeah.
I've never actually met him, but from Ely in Cardiff, I think originally.
Yes, I didn't pluck up the courage to say hello, unfortunately.
I was going to ask you how he was, but
we kind of nodded at each other. Yeah. Everyone nods at each other at these things.
Yeah, I suppose it's awkward when you're just going off for one song. It's a different kind of thing.
Yeah, you all hide in your dressing rooms until it's time.
I mean, you've worked with such amazing people. Just to mention a few, I'm looking at your about page, obviously, but there's so much stuff here. But things which immediately leap out of me. Well, there's three names in particular I'm looking at. Firstly, to say Cyndi Lauper, who I think is a totally underrated talent, by the way. You know her? I mean, what's she like?
No, it was another one of these where they queue them up in like a factory. So that was the Carnegie Hall gig and the Bowie thing. So we had a rehearsal day in the City Winery, and there was a show of the evening there, and everybody just turned up to rehearse their song. So some of them came, they're like, oh, I don't have any lyrics, or have you got, what key is this in? Oh, she came in with an in-ear monitor, right, I want this in, blah, 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 I want that, this is how I want my sound, bam, 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 bam. And she sang it, and she was fabulous, and then she turned up at Carnegie Hall, fabulous, absolutely amazing. I think Terry and I were playing saxophone together on that one, that was fun. Nice. We ended up on telly as well. Yeah, she was great. That was a really interesting thing, because, they were legends who you thought they'll be absolutely, on the ball, but they weren't. And some were and some weren't. So it was lovely seeing the way everybody dealt with it. Some people were just charming and lovely. Some people who I thought would be a nightmare weren't. They were absolutely wonderful. So yeah.
It's surprising sometimes, isn't it, when you meet people?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm not very good at keeping a poker face.
No.
So
Cyndi Lauper from New York, I think. Is that right? I think she is.
She certainly sounded like it.
Yeah. And she's got a huge personality, but I've always thought she's just a wonderful songwriter.
She's great. Oh yeah, really rock solid talent. Yeah.
She had a beautiful Christmas song actually, which barely ever gets played.
To listen.
Beautiful song. Robin Hitchcock. Okay, so Robin Hitchcock, my wife sometimes comes up in these stories and these interviews. She met Robin Hitchcock when he played the Globe, which I don't even know the Globe in Cardiff, converted cinema.
Yeah, it was when we did our Very Hopkin. Yeah.
And so she'd always wanted it. She always idolized him. Yeah. So I think Robin Hitchcock must have been to the toilet or something. So he's coming back down the stairs, and my wife said, Robin, la 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 la, how great to meet you. Like, so totally kind of ignored her, and then and she said, and he hadn't been there for something like 17 years. She said, don't leave it 17 years next time, Robin.
And he didn't say anything. Oh, he's probably
get off my land,
He was probably thinking of cheese or something. He's amazing.
Another fantastic songwriter though, and a really quirky kind of performer. Yeah.
What a legend. We were so lucky to get to know him. So I saw he was on tour at the beginning of one year. It must have been after our American tour. And I thought, he's in England. I could probably, having had a pint with him in America after the Radio City show, I thought I could probably ask him for a support. And I did. And he went, yeah, all right. So, and he knows Terry Edwards. Well, he knows everybody, and Terry Edwards knows everybody. So yeah, that was that. And then he asked us back again. Now he's asked us back again. We should be on tour with him right now. But of course, so next September, we're going to be on tour.
Yeah.
And he's lovely. And I get the idea that his brain is, cogitating elsewhere. And if he doesn't say hello to you, then he's probably just cogitating.
Yeah.
I don't think he is.
No, he's pretty kind of, you only got to hear the lyrics and stuff that he does. He's pretty kind of out there, isn't he, with his lyrics?
Yeah, well, that's the treat of supporting on a tour, is that you get to watch the show every night. And it's like the songwriting masterclass for us. He's been doing great online shows. In fact, it was his online shows that finally prompted us to do ours and get our act together.
Yeah. I was going to, Debbie Harry.
Debbie Harry, yeah. I don't think she even turned up to the rehearsal. She just sent her man on guitar. Yeah, I mean, standing 10 feet away from Debbie Harry is quite an experience. She was just as you'd imagine, laid back. Hey, I'm Debbie Harry. I don't remember her saying hello to us. It's funny how you can be on stage and play behind somebody, and some of them said hello and some of them didn't bother. Yeah, Perry Farrell turned around and shook everybody's hand. Very generous performer. Bessie Levette, my God, she was great, really good. Yeah.
Wow, what an amazing experience for you to play with all these people, though. You know.
Oh, it was a real treat, and somehow I got moved to right behind the centre spot. So all the shots of these famous people, I'm standing there in the background with my tambourine. Don't know how that happened.
I was going to ask you about a couple of songs. I'm just trying to bear with. Sorry, Jessica. I'm trying to remember. There's a particular song. Yeah, I Want to Be Famous.
Yeah.
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 So I Want to Be Famous. So, you know, for those people who haven't heard that song, which until today included me, it really struck me what was going on there lyrically. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that?
Well, which version were you listening to?
I think it was piano and vocal. Am I right in thinking that?
Oh yes. So so the original is which is on this album. I am not. The original was, I programmed it on it was probably Pro Tools or Reason at the time, and my brother made it sound extra fabulous. So Morgan, it was a real Morgan. So it was a real kind of cheeky but serious look at pop stardom and you know, the pop manufactured world of, you know, how people can get super famous without any apparent talent. And it was a genuine frustration of, you know, I slog away and, you know, don't get quite the fame or success that I wish for, and then you turn on the telly or the radio and you think, oh my god, this is terrible. How, you know, how are they doing that and I'm not doing that? So I put together a video with my lovely friends. We formed a girl band, and one of them went back to work the following week or after it got released, and one of her workmates is still convinced that she was actually singing, and, you know, it was her song and she was part of the real band. But so yeah, we did that. It was a whole story of us getting signed and all this. And then I revisited it when I did the reboot of the album, which is a quick way to make an album. I revisited it and thought, well, what, you know, it's actually quite a sad, frustrating song. So that's well, me.
It really is. And I mean, you know, talking to you now, I don't know whether we'll ever meet you in person, but, you know, you're a smiley, bubbly, likable, kind of vibrant person. But there's a fair bit of kind of, you know, you said about being forthright. There's a fairly frank kind of approach going on there, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where I got that from. Well, both my parents, yeah. Quite forthright. Yeah, they always.
Is it autobiographical at all? I guess it must be.
I think all my music is. Yeah, I'm just looking at some song titles. I never remember what I've written. Yeah, it's all genuine. They're all genuine emotions. So I Want to Be Famous was, you know, I wouldn't mind being famous. I wouldn't mind. My mum kept saying, oh, you don't want to be famous. You don't want all that. You don't want to be signed to a record, you know, because she had such a terrible time. She thought I would have a terrible time. And, but of course she came from a very sheltered upbringing and everything. And I came from musical upbringing. You know, I was more used to everything. So I remember thinking, well, I wouldn't mind, you know, I'd like to find out for myself. In the end, she's right, of course. She'll probably watch this and nod her head sagely. She's right. You don't want a record deal where they just mold you and tell you what to do and take all your creativity away, which is what happened to her. So I'm lucky now that my operation is entirely independent, you know, even still sending the CDs out ourselves. So yeah, everything I write, I strongly believe in. You know, all the songs come from my second album. I Am Not is one talking about my time in the health and social care sector, and you know, how we don't like to label, well, how we like to label people, certainly in health and social care, and, you know, you're disabled, you've got an alcohol problem, you're this, you're that. In fact, there's a festival going on this week called the We Are One Citizen Fest, and there's lots of conferences about, you know, it's all online, and I've done a slot for that on Saturday. It's all talking about those things, social inclusion, which I'm still quite passionate about, and the way they're dealt with politically, I don't think is up to the mark. So that's become a real. So I think the thing about songwriting, you write what you believe in and what you strongly believe in, and then once you release it to the world, it's not your property so much anymore. So when you sing it, other people go, yeah, I thought that. That's how I feel. Or, you know, and a lot of people go, oh my God, I love this song. I need to get the clean out, you know, have a good cry. And I think, well, are you having fun or what? Because I'm not sure. So that's the mission.
again, though, you kind of said something there which resonated with me. Because I was looking at your reviews and interviews earlier, and from, I think it's probably up from Spill magazine, but it's saying, and what you're talking about now kind of relates to this, I think, quite a bit, Jess. She writes incredible songs that are both personal and universal at the same time. So, you know, I suppose that's kind of what you're alluding to there. You write this personal stuff, and then people see other things in it, don't they?
Yeah, I'm very glad he picked up on that, bless him. Canadians are lovely, like Canadians. That's Aaron. Yeah, this is the album. That's the album. This is Reboot, my handcrafted artisanal packaging. So that's the reboot of the first one. But I think maybe by slowing them down and stripping out some of the production, we tried to make them more like we play them live, just me and Chris, more acoustic. And so maybe the meaning comes through more there. Yeah, I don't like listening to songs where there's no meaning in them, or or there's just something that you don't feel in. Somebody asked the other day online, oh, you know, should you keep your emotions out of music? Everybody in the thread just said, no, why would you? Why would you want to? You know,
it's kind of pointless.
It depends, you know, any emotion. Yeah, whether it's love or anger or, you know, determination or social comments, it's a good way to, because songwriting makes you consider what you're saying as well. So you're not just blurting out like I normally would in the pub over a pint, which I do. That you have to consider it and, you know, put it down in, you know, words that almost rhyme and things like that. Then you come out with a point.
I mean, I'm desperately trying to think of a song title of yours, which I can't remember, but I'll tell you what it's about. And again, I find this really quite intriguing. You're basically talking about sort of, what if you could live your life again?
Oh, right. Is it Around the Block? Is it slow one?
I think it might be. It was sort of like talking about if you experienced life having already experienced it, you sort of know what to expect.
Oh, right. Sounds like a lot of them, actually. Well, Around the Block. I wish I could. Around the Block is about throwing your life in the air and seeing where it lands. And I wrote that when we went to America. And we did just say, oh, what the hell, let's try that for a bit. And it's about making a new start. Oh, the fact is, no matter where you go, you hear a lot of people going, oh, I wish I could just get out of here and start afresh somewhere else. If you go there, you'll take everything with you, including your emotional baggage. And you might as well just stay where you are if you're going to do that. So yeah, we've done that an awful lot. It seems like every 3 years, Chris and I do throw our lives in the air and go somewhere else or do something else, or, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that who knows what's going to happen in that regard at the moment, isn't it?
This is
when you can do that, you know.
You've got to be fluid, I think, and I think I certainly turn the news off. There's absolutely no point watching the news, is there? Because
no. Again, my wife said the same thing the other day, and generally we're quite newsaholics, but like after a year or so of the same kind of news only getting worse, it's quite difficult, isn't it?
Pointless. And I work, you know, having worked in local government and voluntary sector stuff, and everybody's trying to change things, and, you know, quite militant about it. And I met an old boss of mine 20 years later after I worked for her, and I said, has anything changed? And she said, nope, not a goddamn thing. She said that conference you set up, where everyone could have their say, and, you know, it was about user involvement. That was my job, is to help people who couldn't speak up. She said, oh, it was the best thing I ever went to. That was 20 years ago. It was quite depressing. So they all work very hard, but sometimes I can't help thinking that we're all kind of going around in circles quite a lot. And, you know, we do need a fresh approach, and we can't say, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong. You have to look at what's right and focus on that stuff. Otherwise, you might as well just dig a hole and crawl in.
Well, we won't do that.
No, it was a waste of time.
Not yet.
No.
But I mean, it's interesting as well. The last thing I put, I suppose, in the bio that I wanted to, which kind of brings it to almost to now, singing to Baron Cobble, the founder of the Nebworth Rock Festival, on his 80th birthday. Tell me a bit about that, maybe.
That's surreal. It's another one of the things that come out of the blue. It must have come from having done Very Hopkin, and there's a promoter up in the Ilkley area, bless him, Jim Singleton, and he's good friends with the Cobble family. And he said it's the Baron's 80th birthday. He's set up Nebworth and he's having a party. And So yeah, he had named Those Were the Days as one of his Desert Island discs.
Wow.
So I can't remember if he said, "Can Mary do it first?" But I think he probably knew that. And then
Mary said no, of course.
Yeah, she actually says no, but my daughter will. Muggins here will. So we went along, and he wasn't too well, bless him. So they had a party up at his little cottage. He doesn't live in the hall, with all his family around, and I sat across the table and sang Those Are the Days.
Oh.
About 20 of his family all staring at me, and he perked up, and was mouthing the words, singing along, and some of the others were, and then I had a little conversation with him after, and that was a real treat. Yeah. And then we went into the woods. They had another little party set up in the woods, and we played for 2 hours, and partied and partied. It was great fun. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. What I know he's obviously is he still around, by the way?
I think he is. Yes, I think he is.
I was going to say,
I know,
the founder of Nebworth, Wow.
I know. I heard some stories, not from him, but they've got, I don't know, Freddie's underpants in a frame or something, things that people have left behind when they've played there, and how when Robbie Williams played there, it paid for a new sewerage system and things like that. That's how they keep it going. But the son and the new wife, I don't think very interested. So I wasn't allowed to say, I'm playing Nebworth, baby. Couldn't say that, but it was quite amazing being there. Yeah, and we played Blenheim Palace a couple of months ago, and now we're doing, I think it was last month, and now we're doing Warwick Castle.
Warwick Castle's lovely.
Yeah, so he's doing these live picnic gigs, which are lovely. So yeah, I've played in some pretty cool places, I've got to say.
How do you see? I know you're about to perform this evening, so we won't keep you much longer. But how do you sort of see things panning out? For musicians over the next 6 to 12 months or so.
I think everyone has to adapt. I think everybody has to become as self-sufficient as possible, and this is the time where if you'll either adapt or you'll just stop. People, I mean, I'm extremely lucky to have Chris, who is my he's my bass player, my engineer, my roadie. He engineers for Mary as well. He's immensely patient. So I've got him.
Is he still there with you, Jess? Is Chris?
I think he's lurking in the other room, or maybe he's gone. He'd be waving. So we are quite a self-contained unit. We've been running the label ourselves as well. So lockdown wasn't really any different for us. We could, we lost a lot of gigs, but we could do this instead. And we've been planning to do this for a while, so it was a good kick up the rear for us. There's a lot of other sidemen who were quite unfortunate where they couldn't play with the people they're used to playing with. They don't have their own show. I think there will be a mixture of online and real life shows. And I think that if you really want to do something, to do it yourself, because the labels don't back you. I mean, the music business has been twisting and turning for a long time. The labels won't back anything that is different or independent. They want a safe bet. They want an algorithm that can go out and someone that they can control. So the people who will last, even Robin Hitchcock, he's doing his own shows. He started his own record label. He's probably clawing back some independence as well. And it's across the board, from legend down to, I'm still counted as an emerging artist. So we all have to do our bit. So I think it will be interesting. It'll be interesting. Maybe a lot of the flab will go. Maybe a lot of the excess will finally be trimmed off.
Well, yeah,
so
mate.
Interesting times.
You kind of hope, wouldn't you, that, because people are just going to be absolutely crying out for music, and it would be kind of nice in a way if the wheat and the chaff separated the right way around and some really great new stuff came through.
I think so. There needs to be more resilience among singer-songwriters, people who can stand up and entertain and deliver a story and play for themselves. Or you've got to be the whole package. I hope I kind of am, but you have to. You can't just be a flake anymore and just turn up or not feel like singing today, or or piss anybody off, or be late, or be rude, or be a diva. You have to do a proper job. Because there's a gazillion people behind you who just happily take your place. So that's what I should mention. Cardiff, that Chris started the Live Music Society in Cardiff, and I believe that society is still going now. It's the longest running society in Cardiff Uni, and they're now doing all the stuff we wanted to do, like local gigs and open mic nights. And that's what we always try to instill in all our members. Is, you know, my other friend was like, "Oh, you're really hard on these people, Jess. We're all just having a laugh." And I was like, "No, if they have any pretensions of being or any ambitions of making it in the music business, start now. You know, let's not muck around here." And we were a business, and we put gigs on, and spent more time doing that than looking at my English degree. And we all did, but we got so much out of it. And there are still people there that pop up in the music scene. You know, they're now working for BBC Radio or something like that, and people who wrote for the Guy Rees student mag.
I remember them. Yeah, of course. I had the worst review ever. But that's another story. Yeah, horrific. It was so bad I kept it, you know. But
who was it? Let's track him down.
I don't remember that. It may not have been a real name, so I wouldn't want to incriminate anyone.
He probably writes the NME now or something like that.
Probably, yeah. But you, just to ask you one final thing then, really, all this stuff that's going on, obviously Mary Hopkin Music, you've got the label. If you want to send us any links to your stuff, your albums, anything you want us to use, I'm sure Tony's happy to do any of that for you. I just wondered, Jessica, what how this has impacted on what you're currently writing about. You know, is it actually inspiring you to come out with new stuff?
Do you mean the current situation?
Yeah.
I have a huge backlog of other stuff I got angry about and want to write about.
Okay.
So I'm still working on that. I don't know. It probably will find its way out. I was almost reluctant to bring my album out because I didn't want it to be a lockdown album. But then I saw this wasn't going away anytime soon. I thought by the time I get it out, it will go stale. So I've got some new things. I'm sure this possibly won't write about it directly, but I like writing about things about the human spirit and, you know, how to make the best of your life. And I try and stay positive. If I start with an angry song, I'll try and turn it around by the middle 8 and offer some kind of solution rather than just all doom and gloom and, you know. So, yeah, I don't know.
We'll see how that shapes up. I should also mention that your dad's book, was it Bowie, Bolan and the Brooklyn Boy, I think it's called?
Yeah.
Absolutely, totally loved that book.
It's one of my favourite books, I must say.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh God, that flipping book. Yeah, he was a bit candid about the family, but it's interesting to see, you know, how he worked and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we got a lot of people at Holy gigs. They come up and ask me to sign it, which is a bit weird.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might be doing an audio version as well. He put an album out as well. Finally, it's his second album after this is. It's a selfie, which, you know, the cover is. And I'm on that with my half sister Lara, on one of them.
Oh wow!
But he writes a song. It's a song about rock stars being divas, and, you know, all this diva behaviour. So it references a few people, I'm sure, that he knows.
Yeah, well, including Mark Bolan probably in the song.
Stories. Yes, yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you. You know, we got a connection, you know, Wales wise, Cardiff wise, and whatever, music wise. So yeah, it's been great, and good luck with your performance tonight.
Thank you.
And if there's anything, you know, we can do for you or anything you want to promote, then by all means, just send it over.
I'll send you
thanks,
some
Jessica.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. You know, it's fantastic just to connect with somebody who is really forthright as your album is. You know, it's great, you know, because there's an awful lot of artists out there who aren't, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, likewise.
You know.
Anyway,
well, I'll keep you posted on the Cardiff gigs, and hopefully we'll
fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Jess.
Look
nice to
forward to meeting you.
All the best.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.